my YouTube dashboard here. Make sure everybody can hear me. Let's see here.
I don't know why going live is so nerve-wracking. Surely, I don't know how many videos you've posted. I've multiple hundreds. And still live is like a little bit worried. I have no idea why.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you.
It's like a permanent thing if you say something, unless you delete the whole video. So can't just edit it out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I feel the same way. And it's funny too, because, you know, I like you said, we've all done so many damn videos, but it just doesn't seem to make it any easier. I think it's also because I always have tech issues. Why is this not saying that we're live? This is insane. I don't know what is going on. I'm having terrible luck. Yeah. Normally it's not this difficult. All right, let me.
No, we're live.
Oh, we are?
We are.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not shown on my end.
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good news. So I guess we can just get started then. And I'll figure it out on my end once it decides to catch back up.
Yeah,
so,
definitely live.
All right, cool. So give us some background information on you and who you are. I mean, I don't know if you necessarily need too much of an introduction because your videos have gone pretty viral, but some background information would always be good.
Sure. I just realized I'm probably a terrible person to be interviewed. Like, I'm Cam. I run the channel Crypto Daily. I don't know how much more is that interesting that I can honestly share. So, yeah.
So how long have you been making content?
Since July. I think we kind of started around the same time, actually. Like if I recall correctly, I saw your first video when that came out. So it's been about a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I actually looked back to see when you had started making videos, and I just didn't know if maybe there were like original ones that you deleted. And I say that because your channel's so young and you've grown so much, and even in the, you know, the bear market, you're still growing exponentially. So I guess I was just surprised that your channel was as new as it is.
Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I didn't delete anything. YouTube for me, even if I made a mistake in a video or like, you know, I evolved and I look back at some of my previous stuff and I think it's cringy. I think that's important. I think it's a part of history to see the growth. This is what I used to be. This is what I am now. Like, I love that about YouTube. So no, I'm not a believer in deleting videos.
Well, that's good. I've definitely seen a lot of people doing that. And I feel the same way. I mean, I started making content in my living room with a camera and a shotgun mic and like all this ridiculous stuff. It was echoey. It was dark. It was a nightmare. And then I got a green screen and it kind of everything changed. So sometimes
I can tell that you appreciate your presentation because it's among the best that I've seen in the space.
Thanks.
And I'm probably one of those guys that will notice it immediately and like really appreciate the effort that goes behind that. But yeah, definitely. I think even your beginning stuff had a lot better production value than some others. Not going to name any names, but yeah, no. It's
yeah,
good.
Well, I know that a lot of it is, I think, kind of like you, like understanding people want something that's interesting to watch, but also to me, quality of actual content itself keeps me interested. So if I see someone who's got good production value, like Ready Set Crypto, for example, his videos are awesome. And I know a lot of good work goes into it and they're easy to watch. So I think decreasing the amount of things in the video that make people less interested is very important. But I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, no, well deserved.
So I've received quite a few questions from people as far as your editing process goes, like what programs you use, how long it takes you to edit, that whole kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. I don't think it matters what program you use, honestly. I don't think there's a huge difference. It's just it's practice, right? So I use Premiere Pro, and so when I started making elaborate intros, and they used to be like much more involved than they are now. It was you know, I'd have props, I'd have wigs, whatever stuff that I look back on I think is cringe. But the stuff that I used to do back then was a lot more involved in the editing process, and I would realistically spend 8 to 10 hours a day just making a video. And the only reason that I was able to to put that amount of time in was because YouTube was like my dream job, and I just wanted it so badly, and I enjoyed the content that I was making. But over time, I got faster. I think now, if I was to make one of those videos, it would take me less than an hour, and that's just what practice can do. Like I have a couple macros like set up on my mouse, but um, yeah, it's just practice. Um, Nowadays, I spend about 3 hours editing. I think today's video took about 3 hours, which is on the longer end, just because it was a meme review.
Yeah, and I just watched it while I was eating dinner. It was good.
Oh, cool. So I think actually the first like 55 seconds of that video is like my favorite 55 seconds I've ever made. I loved it. I really enjoyed making that video.
So I presume that you are mostly self-taught as far as like editing and all your content stuff goes.
Yeah, I think I did a course like years ago, just online. I think it was free. Just picking up the basics, and it was just practice from there. I think it helps that I'm really passionate. There's only two things I'm really passionate about in life that I've learned recently, and that's crypto and that's content creation. Like I'm really getting a passion for editing, about being able to change how things are presented just based on what you can do. I really like it. So yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun these days.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I didn't realize, I guess, how much I liked creating content. I have another channel that I made before this that was like car related, that was really simple, but it's fun to just kind of create something out of nothing, right? So like your
Absolutely.
channel, your videos, they only exist because you made them. And then you have all these people that want to watch them, and you build a community, and the whole process of it, when it's organic like that, is really enjoyable. So I can definitely see where the passion in that comes from. Plus, I mean, your editing and everything else, 3 hours, even though that's kind of on the longer side for you, that's still a long time to dedicate,
Mm.
which just goes to show that you really enjoy what you do. I assume you don't have like a normal day job.
No, no, no. This is my full-time job. Has been for a long time. I remember when I first wanted to leave my job, I had a month-long notice period, and I hadn't handed in my notice yet, and I just realized I'm losing money going to work instead of being at home making YouTube videos. That when that realization came, it was so hard to go to work. I stopped going. Work-related stress or something. Then they eventually terminated my contract early, which is great. Yeah, yeah, my full-time job.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that interim period when I obviously when we both started, but there was that bull run, and my channel grew really quickly, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can leave my job. But more recently, since everything slowed down, I still work 40 hours a week, which really sucks, but it's like a double-edged sword. My channel would probably grow faster if I didn't have a job, because I could dedicate more time to it. But in the same light, it would be like there'd be a lull period where I wouldn't be making enough probably to support myself. So I just really haven't kind of crossed that bridge yet, but ultimately that would be a goal for me. I'd love to be able to do that. Like you, and there's a bunch of other people in this space I know, like Lark and Zombie, that all do this full time, and I'm very envious of that.
I'm sure it's going to come, and I think for all of us, it's been a really big learning experience that, while things might have been like really good for a certain time, we always need to prepare for like the worst outcomes. And yeah, I think we've all learned so much this year, and it will do us in good stead. But I'm sure that this can be a full-time thing for you.
Fingers crossed. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
So what do you record on? Because I've seen like all these different camera views. So do you use like a camera and a webcam? Do you have two standalone cameras? What do you use?
So I don't know if I can pick up that camera and show you, but I've got one main camera there, right? And you probably got like no, you use a webcam. You use a Logitech C920, right?
Yeah,
That's what I've got right
Logitech
now.
Brio,
Oh,
which is like
okay.
a 4K one.
Oh, okay, nice. Webcam's great, works super well, but I think one of the things that helped me to create different content, to be able to be more flexible with it, was not recording directly to the computer. So I have a main camera, and that just records onto its SD card. and I pull that SD out and plug it in after the fact. And I've got a second camera which does the exact same thing. So like most YouTubers will use like OBS, and then they'll green screen themselves in the corner. But if you wanted to manipulate the background, you have to manipulate yourself kind of, because they're stuck. But mine's independent, so it gives you a lot more freedom in the edits. There's a difficult move to make. It makes the editorial process way more involved, but it gives you way more freedom as well. So
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because although I use this and I record to my computer, I don't use OBS to record. So I record myself like this, and then I do whatever I want as the background. And it was interesting to make that connection, that like I recently found out that I can just screen grab stuff as I'm scrolling and then throw it in the video, like simple things that I just never would have thought of, and it's all, I mean, it's really just limit of your creativity, but it's very interesting.
And time.
As you said, like to just start to get into figure out all of the other options that are out there. And I'm still learning a lot. And I definitely would like to get more involved. I love editing. It's just the amount of time that it takes.
Yeah, it's the time. It's the time. But no, I can tell that actually you record separately, because there's stuff that you're able to do which I know you can't do if you do it the easy way. So yeah.
So what's your feeling about the bear market? Like what do you think seems to be causing either the dwindling interest in the space or the dwindling interest in crypto?
I'm going to be honest. So there's lots of theories, right? And I'll go through them on my channel as well. Lots of theories. Unless we are involved in the exchanges, unless we've got some insider knowledge, unless we can see where the money's coming from, what bank accounts, who's doing it, we really don't know. And I think that's what I've been trying to do lately, is to kind of steer away from conspiracy theories. I mean, like they're still really fun to cover, and I'm still going to do so, but less serious than perhaps I would have done before, because we've all heard every story under the sun. I mean, there's the obvious ones like the Mt. Gox selling, like maybe Tether printing, over-the-counter deals, dumping on the markets, mass media negativity, so many things, and as well just a necessary market correction. So it's everything and nothing, because we kind of almost don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of my sentiment as well. I mean, I think more predominantly, the thing that you were talking about, I think it was you today, like over-the-counter trading, or your yesterday's video, basically that people could be doing that. That's something I never even thought of. But I do think, and I had this conversation with Danny when I did a video with him earlier in the week, that, I mean, there's obviously a need for a correction. Whether or not that correction terrified people and it's feeding it and causing it to be worse, or if it's just genuinely still a correction. And as you said, it's something that, we don't know what we don't know right now. So there is probably a lot of variables. And it is funny to kind of run with the conspiracy theories, because obviously everyone and their mother knows exactly why it's happening and can promise you, this is the bottom and we're going to keep going up from here and whatever. So it's just a little asinine, but it's funny to see everybody else's perspectives on it.
Yeah, it is. It's funny though, you mentioned that so many oracles crawling out the woodworks these days.
Yes.
Like yes, so
just reading tea leaves and sending smoke signals about Bitcoin prices. It's just absurd.
Yeah. Where were these guys last year?
But, no, right? Exactly. So on the topic, I guess, of this, where do you think the space will be in a year, 5 years, or where would you like to see it?
Okay. Where I'd like to is an interesting one. Where I see it simply is better than it is now. And that's pretty much all I can, comfortably assert. But even that's not a guarantee. Where I'd like to see it, I think this ties into, what first got me interested in cryptocurrency was the fact that you could, if you wanted to, not have to rely on a third party, not have to be beholden to the bank who can, at a drop of a hat, say you can't make that purchase, which I think we've all had at one point in time, that they refuse to allow you to use your own money. So what I'd like to see is, to be honest, I'd like to see stability and I'd like to see adoption. But the volatility is fun. The life-changing money is fun. But I guess the idealist in me would like to see many people's vision of being unbanked fulfilled. How long that would take, though, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think the volatility is a huge issue. I actually had this conversation with my mother the other day because she's like, "Oh, Bitcoin's price keeps going down. How's everything doing? How's your YouTube?" And I'm like, "It's fine. People are still involved in making content or trading or whatever. But the price being so volatile is such a deterrent for the average person to get involved because it's terrifying and people don't really understand the concept of it. And then when they see the price falling, it's just going to be exceptionally more intimidating. So."
Combined with the fact that the masses will happen to buy at the very top as well, because that's just how it is. It's, you know, it kind of sucks, but I'm hopeful. We'll see, you know,
But that's
cautiously
like
optimistic.
everybody that came in last year, right? We had this influx of people that came in and they saw insane amount of growth, and you threw a dart at a board for an ICO and you 10x your investment, right? So
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
yeah, and that was everybody's thought process for the longest time. And now we see a correction, and now we see, you know, people just working on tech and doing their roadmaps and whatever, and people are bored. And because of that, there's all this like toxicity on Twitter, which is actually pretty funny. But I think people just kind of need to keep in context of where we are. You did a video where you were talking about how much of the world's wealth or whatever, I think it was the US, is actually in crypto. And it's like not even a full percent, which is
it's way less,
which is insane. And people, I think, really lose sight of that because we're so immersed in this stuff all the time between the videos and the creators and Twitter and whatever else and Reddit. We forget how small this space actually is in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. I made a video where I was like, you know what? I'd compare in its evolutionary progress, the Bitcoin is a rock at the moment because we don't know it is that primitive. It's that early on, kind of, right? I was probably sensationalism a bit there in me, but it's going to evolve into something that we potentially can't even envision yet because it's that early. And the mass amount of people tell you that Bitcoin's failed and it's never going to succeed is stupid, but at the same time kind of comforting because, you know, they probably don't have anything more to sell. So maybe we can start to go up.
Yeah, maybe. So Danny from Crypto99 just popped in and says, I want Cam to phone a friend and ask his arch nemesis Fiat Daily how he feels about the stock market tanking.
Yeah, I don't have his number, but maybe, yeah. I've been. I know people would like to see him again. I have no idea why. It's my channel, but yeah, I've been thinking about a way that he might host something, and I don't think he'll be disappointed.
The mustache is really good. So, I mean, you know, speaking of ridiculousness on your channel, other than Cardano, obviously, what projects are you most excited about for the future, or stuff that you've personally invested in? Obviously, you don't have to disclose everything, but
What am I? Okay. That's a very difficult question for me to answer because, like, I could either be A, boring and list some top 10 cryptos, or B, shill a very low market cap coin. And I used to like it when I was smaller. Actually, I could talk about something that I thought was a really good project, like No Limit Coin, for example, and I wouldn't get hate for it because I wasn't expected to be manipulating the price at all. And you know, I was expected to be honest and stuff. But now with the attention comes, like, I've had some people accuse me of shilling Bitcoin. It's crazy. So yeah, I actually can't be as honest as I might like to be. If I was had a smaller community, then, you know, I could. But there's a lot of drama when it comes to talking about projects. So,
well, to be quite frank, it's kind of a breath of fresh air for you to respond in that way, only because, I mean, I presume I don't get it as much as you do, but I certainly do get it. There are projects that I've covered genuinely because I thought they were cool, or they were doing something important, or I actually saw a use case for them. And I've always, even from the beginning, I've always disclosed if I've ever received money for anything, I've always been honest about it. So I find it very personally annoying when people, you know, complain or state that they think that I'm doing something dishonest when I'm not. So I totally get where you're coming from as far as just rather not deal with the trolls in the comments versus saying something else.
I'm taking a new approach, I guess, with Cardano recently. I'm memeing it because I know actually, like a huge portion of my audience is really bullish and would like to hear me talk about it more. And then there's always some that think Cardano is vaporware, and I'm shilling it. And yeah, the only way is to meme it, right?
No, I agree. You got to make a joke of it. And your addition of Charles into the green screen and stuff is absolutely hilarious. I'm sure, I wonder, you should reach out to him. I bet he'd come on your channel and mess around with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool, I guess. But again, it would be, you know, the accusations of being a shiller, which will last. You know, if I have an interview with Charles as well, like it would last for a year or more. If my reputation would be to, you know, like if anything happened to the project, I'm not saying it would, but I don't know. I'd love to, but yeah, it's scary. It's hard to be a crypto YouTuber, honestly.
It really is. I don't think people I mean, the work that goes into it, on top of like dealing with people who are just so concerned that everything is conspiracy, right? I mean, on Twitter, on YouTube, on comments, everything's a conspiracy, and we're all lying, and we don't have any ability to think for ourselves.
And everyone's mad. Everyone's angry.
Yes, everyone's furious.
Yeah, everyone's furious. Yes, yes. Oh man. And you know, you do it for not much reception as well in the grand scheme of things for YouTube. All of us are tiny, so. But it's what we signed up for. I guess we didn't sign up for an easy life, or we, you know, do toy reviews or something on YouTube. But no, crypto.
Yeah, I know, right? Of all the niches to pick on YouTube, we pick the one that's like the most divisive.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of Charles, even if I did a video with him when my channel was really small, I probably have to thank him for my exponential growth, because I think after that, everybody's like, hey, made me seem like I knew what I was talking about. But it was like almost a 3-hour video in which everything was over my head anyways. The guy's a genius. So it wouldn't be an easy video to do regardless.
Yeah, it's intimidating, I'm sure.
It was.
Yeah.
So what does your family, friends think about crypto or your channel? Do they have any grasp on what you actually do?
A few do. It's kind of weird. So I don't want to seem negative. I think some have seen the success and not jealous, but I don't know. It's really awkward to talk about. Like if I'm, oh, have you seen, you know, this video today? And like, it's they know I'm doing well, and you know, some of them would just rather not deal with that because their lives are difficult themselves, and I get that. I'm not trying to like shove anything in anyone's faces. So, with a lot of them, I don't talk about it. Some friends do know, and some are just so anti-crypto that they won't. It doesn't matter what I say. I've broken it down to as simple terms as possible. Like, just if you want money, just hold that for 1 year. If you want, just no, they're not interested. It's that bad. So I don't know. Most people, yeah, just leave me to it. So I guess it's kind of a boring answer. I'd be interested in hearing what it's like for you, though.
My like immediate family has absolutely zero clue what I'm talking about, and really doesn't want to. I mean, they've asked me like, what's Bitcoin, what's blockchain, and I've explained it to them, but you know, they watch my videos, and in the beginning they used to just watch my videos because like, we want to give you views.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's like, they're like, well, we have no idea what you're talking about, and you're doing just fine, so we're not going to worry about it anymore. And you know, most people have an idea that I do it. Like, my social life obviously is kind of taking a hit because between work and this, I really only have like 2 days out of the week that I do stuff. So for the most part, everybody kind of gets it, but no one, I think, has any idea how much work goes into it, what I'm actually talking about, what's happening in the space. Yeah, how insane it is, how quickly things change. But yeah, it's interesting because people at work have actually found my YouTube by accident.
Really? Wow.
Yes. So I've had
Awesome.
people come up to me and they're like, do you make YouTube videos? I'm like, yeah,
That's a bit
great.
weird, huh?
It is a bit weird. So I'm very impressed by people who can put out videos daily. I think that's an insane amount of dedication that I just don't know even if I didn't work, if I'd be able to do that. So how do you maintain that schedule? And what happens if you're just like simply not in the mood, or you feel like there's not enough to cover? What do you do in those situations?
I think that's a great question, because I'd love to hear my answer and be like, and taking notes, because I want to know the answers to that too. I don't know. I will sit and look at a script for hours. Like I'll usually spend 5 to 6 hours total on a video a day. It used to be shorter. That's how it is right now. I think the bear market has made me work harder. And I just beat myself up until I get something out, and it works, I guess. But when I'm writing a script for a video, I will try and get some overarching story across. I'm not just trying to cover the news, because I think the bear market has demanded more of some people than that. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I think it's made me demand more of me, that my videos would need to portray some sort of story that wraps itself up or conveys like some sort of message that was as deep and profound as I could make it. But I don't know. This probably sounds like I'm rambling. I will try and write the best thing I can write, but I beat myself up every day until I get it out. And some days I fail. I'm unable to stick to 7 days a week. I've never done that. Almost 6, very rarely. Mostly 4 to 5. But yeah, it's been good lately. But I'll think about that. If I come up with some other answer that's a bit more satisfying, I'll let you know. But it's hard, and I beat myself up to get it done.
Well, I ask you because I too don't necessarily feel like there's an answer, and I was mostly interested in your response because you do a video every day, every other day, whatever. And I find that I think the latter has happened to me because of the bear market, and because usually the content that I make is more informative or sort of more research based. I find that people are less interested in my channel now. They more want news or entertainment. So obviously stuff that you do, stuff that Zombie does, you guys are still killing it as far as views goes, which I totally understand. And I'm not like the fly by the seat of my pants person. So I can't just like sit down in front of a camera like Kyle does and just ramble for half an hour and hit all like the major news points. Not my thing. So it's definitely been more difficult for me with the bear market to keep enthusiasm. And more recently, because now it's where I am, it's freezing cold and it's getting dark so early. I get home from work and I'm like, all I want to do is go to sleep. I don't want to do a video. But I've just I'm keeping like the long-term in sight. So it's going to come back. People are going to be interested. There's going to be more adoption. It's a lull right now. So I'm just trying to remind myself that it's like going to change. And the whole point of these crypto conversations where I'm interviewing other content creators is A, to switch up content, and B, to maybe talk about stuff that's not 100% crypto related all the time. Because I think people also would like to know what goes on in our lives as far as like the daily logistics of stuff.
I agree completely. That's one of the attractive things about YouTube is your connection with the YouTuber. As unreal as it might be, it's genuine for many people. I imagine before you started YouTube, you watched a lot of it. Before you started, you were a student of YouTube before you became one, of a big fan. And it was probably because you had connections with those YouTube. Well, sort of. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I'm going to say like a connection to those people. You got to know who they were, kind of, and that's a huge allure behind what makes YouTube great. People absolutely do want to know more about you, but or get a glimpse into your life. But it's also difficult to tag that correctly in order to get views and stuff. So I have thought of a better answer, actually.
Shoot.
So while I do beat myself up to write something, I will also make something that I want to see. I'll make something that I will enjoy making, and you'll know this very well. Cast your mind back towards the end of like the consolidation period at 6K, where it was so boring for so long. I think a lot of us struggled for any sort of engagement from like views per vid. It was very, very difficult time. Still is, but it picks up when stuff happens in the market. But during that time, yeah, I think if I was used to seeing a certain number per video and then it started to go down, like if I wasn't making stuff that I enjoyed making, I think that might have really gotten to me and I might have really struggled and yeah, just gotten down. And one thing that helps me is even if no one else watches it, at least I had fun making it. And I don't know. Do you enjoy making the videos that you make, or is there a way that you would find more enjoyment by doing something a bit different? I suppose this is it, right? This is an example right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started, I love the reviews because the whole purpose of my channel was I wanted to make content for people in the middle of the road. Like, okay, you're intelligent, you're interested in crypto, but you don't have a tech background, you can't code, you're not like a financial genius. You're just an average person who's got a brain in their head who wants to learn. So I started making videos.
Great resource.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff didn't exist when I got into this space. So I was like, let me make something that's different, which I tried doing, and it worked because I naturally like to research things. And so it was easy for me to just dive down a hole, figure out all the information about a project. The problem that I'm running into now is that a lot of the projects that I really like, I've already covered. And some of the projects that I like win on my Twitter polls or people tell me to cover, I'll do like a quick once over. And I get hounded to cover them, so I often will, but it's not really a project that I'm super pumped about covering. And I think people notice that because, like you said, you have an engagement, you have a kind of a feeling that you build a relationship or whatever with a YouTuber. And I think the reason that is because we are normal people on an app, which seems more relatable than just like a celebrity or whatever. So I think people can see through very quickly when you make content you're not enjoying, which is exactly why I've been trying to switch it up and do stuff like this, because I like talking to people, and also it's great as far as networking and meeting people and whatever to kind of break up the monotony.
Sure. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Yeah, I think you're going about it the right way. That's cool. It's difficult. It's absolutely difficult. But yeah, that helps.
No, it does help. And kind of leading off that question, you had mentioned in passing that you were thinking about making a second YouTube, which I commend you because I don't even know how in God's name you're going to find time to do that. But and you were brainstorming ideas. Have you come up with anything? Is anything interesting you?
So I asked my community because I have this like creator itch. As much as I love crypto and I also have another passion, which is creating. I think crypto has let's face it, a cap on the potential that you can achieve. And it's lower for everyone during the bear market. And even in the best of times, there was a certain cap. There isn't, you can't, just looking at how many wallets there are for Bitcoin, for example, there's not that many people that are involved in the space. So it would be interesting to move into a different sector which didn't have that cap on me. But I asked the comment section for ideas, and I think one of the best ones was both what I didn't want to hear and needed to hear, which was whatever you're passionate about. I had some other ideas about covering news, injecting my humor wherever I can into like either like the gaming sector or I don't know, some type of journalism around that. I don't know. There was just a vague idea, but I realized there's nothing else that I'm really that passionate about. And as you were saying, like if other people can tell if you're not enjoying it, so I'm consigned to the fact that I've got it good, and I don't need to be looking for greener pastures. It's so hard to get a start on YouTube anyway. It's pretty much a combination of just extreme luck and timing in order to get a break on YouTube. It happened to me, probably happened to you.
Yeah, it was definitely
Lisa.
timing and Charles. I mean, 110%. That's why it's funny to me that you're like praise Charles in all your videos, because I've
You relate.
I've had a pretty like working relationship with him. If I message him on Twitter, whatever, I can get a hold of him. He's
Oh,
pretty
cool.
yeah, he's pretty quick to get in touch with. So I think it's funny because he helped me with my channel and saw potential or whatever, and helped me grow. So I'm very thankful for his participation in that video. But I just get a kick out of it because in my head I'm like, yeah, well, sort of praise Charles in a strange way.
He does come across as like a really, really nice guy. I
Yeah,
know
he
it's
is.
like a bit of a meme, but you know, it works because he kind of is that character.
Yeah, he really is that character. So I gotta ask before I forget: is your green screen painted, or is it like, what is that?
That's paint. Yeah.
Is it?
So yeah, that's the actual. Oh, you probably can't see it. The actual room's white, but I got this one wall painted green. It was a bit of a weird request when we were moving in, but yeah, I think he understood that I do camera trickery. But yeah, it's really easy because it's always there. I had
Even
this
and
old one at my
clean.
other house. You had to pull it down, but then it was
Mhm.
like gonna come off the wall or something. So yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, I asked because, well, I have like a little area set up for myself now, but as you can see, I mean, that is a corner of a wall. So that's always a pain in the ass when I'm editing because there's two different tones of green. And
Oh,
then it's like, not nailed, but like thumbtacked to the wall because I can't paint green, but I've been dying to. So I asked because it's always so smooth and beautiful. And it's like an editor's dream to see that like consistency behind you. Very
so
envious.
what I would say is, you see, like I've got two lamps down here. So I got two main lights up there, but two down there to light up the darker areas. If you had maybe a little lamp, I don't know if you already do, a little lamp pointed in that corner might help.
I have so many lights. I've got two big box lights. I've got a ring light, and then I've got one down here. But
Oh,
because
wow.
it's only one, it usually lights inconsistently.
Do you get really hot then when you're filming?
No, actually, I have a blanket on my lap right now with all my lights on. I'm
Oh,
always
wow.
cold, so
Okay.
the lighting does not bother me at all.
Well, yeah, I could easily start sweating by the end of the video, if I've been taking too long. Luckily, I can finish before that point, but it does warm up majorly in here. I
Yeah,
think there's 5 bulbs inside one of these.
you're also close to them,
box.
though. No,
Sorry?
you're close, like proximity wise,
Close?
to like the lights themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty close. Doesn't help.
You going to any conferences this year? Is there anything that you're looking into?
I've never been to a single conference. I maybe you can answer this for me. Why? Why would you go?
I don't have a good reason for that. I just figured it'd be a good question to ask because I know that if you're in the area and you go, people may want to meet you. In my
Okay,
experience, I've gone to 2. One was a little bit better than another, but they were both pretty lackluster.
right.
And 2 other ones I was supposed to go to got canceled. One I had already purchased the plane tickets. So I'm like kind of batting 1,000. I probably won't be going to any this year unless like I get a ticket to Consensus in New York.
Yeah.
But because I can take a train to the city from here. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, I'm super close.
Yeah, that one, that's the biggest one. So
It's the only
that
one
makes
worth going
sense.
to, probably.
I like I've gotten emails to like, you know, speak at a few, and it's like, why would? Because I don't know. I think a lot of people mistakenly believe if you've got a following on YouTube and you're a cryptocurrency YouTuber, you're a thought leader, you're an expert in the field. That's why you've got a following. It's no, it's you I don't know how to say it. So if I didn't understand being asked to speak, but I guess I spoke to Data Dash recently. He also asked me, "Are you going to any conferences?" And I said, "No," but I get asked to speak at some all the time. And he said, "No, you absolutely should." And I said, I picture in my head the speakers being like Andreas Antonopoulos, and then what am I going to say after him, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do I'd rather crack a joke. I'd rather do a stand-up than an actual conference. I'm going to teach you guys about Bitcoin. You're going to learn something today. It's not me. But Data was saying, Nicholas, you were saying, no, the talkers are actually pretty poor. So you would absolutely be kind of good. You should definitely go. I don't know if that was the best sort of motivation to go to these things. But yeah, no one seems to be able to give a good reason to go to one, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I definitely get enormous amounts of emails. My favorite is when they're like, "We love your news segment." I'm like, you know how I know you don't watch my channel? Because I don't do news segments.
Wow.
Yeah, and I
When
get
you get
asked
your
this.
name wrong, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I get people do this in the chat too. I get CryptoCandor, like the bird.
Oh wow, yeah.
So that's good. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll end up going to any. Probably not. But yeah, I don't. They have asked me to speak, and I have one of the reasons I don't like live streaming, which is why I don't know why I do it. I have horrible anxiety, like public speaking, can't do it.
Oh,
So
okay.
the fact that they think I'm going to stand on a stage with, however many people in front of me and talk about something that I'm not a professional over is not happening.
I'm sure you could make the transition if you can do a live stream. If you can, I'm pretty sure you could do it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I've got someone in the chat that thinks that you should do a crypto stand-up and that you'd be great.
Well, I tell you what, I tell you who would be good, Fiat Daily.
I was just going to say you should make another channel for Fiat Daily.
Yeah. I think crypto people just find those jokes just because I remember the concept of it was just hilarious. A guy who loves the banks, that the interest that you get from savings accounts, like it's a crypto guy's like fantasy in terms of like what you don't expect to hear from someone.
Well, yeah, that, and also, I mean, the mustache is just out of this world. So the way you look doesn't hurt the situation either.
Yeah.
And you sell it well, so that's good. So I asked Danny this question too. If you could sit down with anyone in history, alive or dead, who would it be?
Satoshi? I don't know.
Actually, that's a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah, let's say to Satoshi. I'd like to know kind of what his intentions really were, because we can infer some things from the white paper, but I don't know realistically if he envisioned what a lot of people do envision. If he really envisioned freedom, this
Movement?
yeah. There's a term for it, but I don't know if any of this was his intention. It would be really kind of interesting to see where his head was at the time.
Yeah, considering there's so much feuding over what Bitcoin's the real Bitcoin and what was Satoshi's intention and all of this divisiveness around this vision that everybody thinks we all know so well, but we don't really, like you said, we don't really know. We can infer, but that's a good answer.
Saying
actually.
that though, imagine I get my wish and he's through the next door. I walk in and it's Craig Wright.
Oh God, I hope not. I really, really hope that that's not the case.
That'd be disappointing.
Yeah, I think most people would probably be disappointed.
Yeah,
guy's not great.
Yeah.
All right, so I got one more question for you, and then I've got one community submission, although it seems that we already answered that. The community submission was what you do for a job, or if you're full-time, which you're full-time YouTube, and that the person imagined that you must have done like film editing or something prior to starting YouTube, which you didn't, or
no.
I don't think you
I
did.
mean, okay, so I did do a couple comedy sketches with some friends a few years back. I don't know if I'm really ready to share that with people. Like those videos are still up. I'm still in them. I think I've shown a clip of one, but yeah, I just practiced around, fooled around, and then took it more seriously when crypto came around.
The wonderful thing about YouTube is it gives you the ability to just do that, right? Like there's really not any other platform that we can, although it's really hard to get started like we talked about earlier. But once you get your footing and you get moving, then it's like you can get active feedback from people. Yes, I like this. No, I didn't like this. And it makes it much easier to tailor your content, which is fun and different.
Yeah,
from other stuff.
Definitely. I got a big appreciation of feedback because the way that I do things now, a lot of feedback isn't necessarily the most constructive. Like it helps to buoy you up and feel good about doing more, but occasionally someone will say something that is a criticism, but you can flex it into a strength. I've been doing that for a long time, And yeah, going with feedback, sometimes it isn't a good idea at all. I think mostly people don't know what they actually want, but
Yeah.
any criticisms like, hey, that flashing in the back annoyed me. Hey, your tree looks weird when I green screen it incorrectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, feedback's good sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is. But like you said, you got to be careful because there's constructive, there's not constructive, and then there's just like stuff that doesn't even make sense. So sifting through kind of the noise is also equally as important.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
a good
my
point.
last question for you is if you could tell your viewers, I guess, one thing about yourself or your channel, like before someone started watching your videos, if you could preface anything, what would you say?
Do not expect normality or seriousness, but then you might be surprised. Kind of. I don't know. It's so weird.
I
I
was
kind of,
waiting for I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own
yeah.
research.
I'll mostly just try and have fun with everything, but
Yeah.
then there's sometimes I just can't help but like try and teach something. Yeah, it's weird. I guess it helps for content. I'd rather make all comedy videos, but you can't. It's hard to do comedy for 10 minutes. So I will like to rant or ramble about a point that I think is important or makes sense or someone would enjoy listening to. Um, and yeah, drop some knowledge on people. It sounds so weird to say, but
I
yeah.
mean, it's weird, but I also think you have been able to strike a good balance. Your stuff is funny enough that it keeps people interested. At least I know it does for me. And also, you do break stuff down and find a way to highlight at least the more important topics of the day. And then, if there's not a ton of important stuff to talk about, doing the meme reviews, which is hilarious. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about striking a balance. And in this market, again, switching up content's important, I think, because people don't necessarily want like, here, learn about this. They kind of want some comedic relief too. So it seems to be working.
Yeah, yeah, I think they do. I think, yeah, I'd find it a little bit perhaps. Um, I go with the mindset that people don't know what they want until they get it, and even if they say they want more, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing. It's just basically do what you like to do, do what you want. Um, so yeah. I don't see myself as a teacher. I don't know how it is for you. Like, do you find it odd to give advice about this type of stuff to people? Did
Yes.
you ever struggle with the thought that how do they really want me to sit here and talk for 5 to 10 minutes? Am I important enough? Or you mentioned how you have like social anxiety. I think I went through the same kind of thing where I was like, when news wasn't any more relevant, and I had to like create different content. I had to realize that, hey, a bit of narcissism works in YouTube if you say to yourself, hey, my opinion is worth your time. It is worth 5 to 10 minutes of your time. Listen to me. Um, well, I didn't have that before, but it works. Like you need that in order to be able to do it. I don't know what your experience was with that.
I think that in the beginning, I was not jaded, but I was unaware of kind of how everything was going to play out. And I definitely did feel weird about giving advice, but in the beginning it was like, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about, so I don't feel obligated to give advice because I don't really know I'm only doing research. The video is what I know is now what you know, so we're on the same
Okay, it was
level.
super honest, which is cool.
Yeah,
A lot
so
aren't. A lot trying to pretend to be experts, so that's really refreshing.
yeah, no, by no means. And when people leave comments, they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, I mean, I know what I said in the video, but you're right. I don't know anything else. Like, I'm not an expert and I've never pretended to be.
Sure.
And for certain things, I'll give advice, setting up wallets or, troubleshooting stuff or helping with like applications, but actual buying and selling of things, I don't think I've ever given anyone advice like, hey, you should buy this. This is a good project, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole narcissism thing, maybe that's a good point. I think also too, once I start like, this is fun talking to people, which is going to be a nice new segment. But I also think I need to try to just keep it creative and do something new as far as content.
Yeah. And yeah, it does take that little bit of narcissism. If I want to make this video, I want this content, then you go for it, and you'll, even if they don't like it immediately, win them round. That kind of thinking. All the biggest YouTubers are the biggest narcissists. So I learned that this
Well, that's
year.
good to know.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else to add before we go?
No, but this has been fun. You know, it'd be cool to maybe collaborate on something again in future. I appreciate
Sure.
you thinking me interesting enough to do this with. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you came on. I appreciate you making the time because I know obviously you've got tons of videos and Fiat Daily to deal with and so on.
Yeah.
All
It's
right,
hard
man.
to write for because I want it to be great. So it takes a lot of work with him. But
the editing for that?
the editing, not so much, but the scripting, because I love the character. So a lot of love has to go into first. I kind of just wait until inspiration hits, and then I will work on it until it's like I feel really great because I really like him too.
Well, I think
But
that's why it's good. It's because you don't make it out of obligation. You make it when you're ready to make it.
yeah, pretty much. I'd rinse him more if, you know, I was just trying to people please, but no, I respect him. It's, you know, it's
No,
so
that's
weird. I
good.
think actors, I would have loved to have been an actor. I think actors, when they're really passionate about a role, they're in their element. They assume that role. They feel like that person. That's me. I don't want to lose the illusion that he's someone else, but yeah, I feel like Fiat Daily in the costume, which is
Well, I mean, that's cool though, because that gives you a different edge to creating content. So if it ever gets monotonous, you always have Fiat Daily to fall back on and be in character for. So that's cool.
true. I'd find it hard to do a whole episode as him because I think he's really demanding as a character. But yeah, he's there. He's there.
Well, good. I look forward to seeing him. Hopefully you'll feel inspired enough and he'll make an
Yeah.
appearance.
Yeah, people are begging for him. So
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on, and we'll have to catch up at some point and collab again.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.
Bye bye.